So to get us started, my name is Kurt Hurlbrink, and I'm one of the digital learning coordinators, and I serve the schools in the central area. And I'm going to be facilitating our session today. Joining me, I have a couple of other DLCs, if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Adams, and I am one of the digital learning coordinators in the Eastern area.
Hi, everyone. I am Jesslyn Holland, and I am also a digital learning coordinator in the Eastern area.
Awesome. So Elizabeth and Jesslyn will be watching the chat for your questions, and they will also make sure that we throw that link in so that everybody has access. I'll go back. The link is bit.ly/DLC428LL, and those letters are all capitalized. So today we're going to discuss Hyperdocs and how they can be a service to you, especially now as we are focused on remote learning for the rest of the year. So we'll take a look at what they are. We're going to take a look at what they look like. We'll actually show you some examples of Hyperdocs so you can see what they look like. Then we'll walk through a few of the steps on how you can actually create your own Hyperdoc. And finally, we'll share where you can go to get resources and make sure that we've answered any of your questions. So as we get started, Hyperdocs really are just a way that you can organize content and share it with your students. The great thing is with a Hyperdoc, it applies whether we are in session with kids, live in person, or whether we're doing remote learning. Hyperdocs really is just a way to organize and present content. So when we think about them, really, it's just taking either a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, form, or even a Google Map, and applying links, instructions, graphic organizers, and digital tools so that students can create, communicate, collaborate, and think critically. Now, we need to keep in mind that we're not just throwing a bunch of links onto a document and calling it a day. There's actual lesson planning that has to go around with it. So if I had a document where I just was providing links, that's not a Hyperdoc. What I need to do is actually embed content into that doc and then structure it in a way so that my students are actually responding, they're creating, they're interacting. The biggest thing with a Hyperdoc is what we're trying to do is move away from just the consumption of content and actually getting the kids to interact with the content. So one way of thinking about it is that as we build out this content, it's just like what we do normally with our kids. But we are going to engage them and we are going to allow them a chance to explore, explain, apply what they've learned. And then the key pieces really fall towards the end, which is that we want kids to be able to share. And that may take on a whole different look now that we're remote. They may just be sharing with you. They may be sharing with a parent, a family member, or caregiver at home. And we also want to make sure we tie in a reflective piece so that the kids really think about what they've learned and they're able to show us what they know. And then the great part with the Hyperdoc too is it does allow for some extension activities or even differentiation as well. you can create sort of your master Hyperdoc and then tweak some of the activities so that you can meet your students where they're at. So when we think about why we might want to do a Hyperdoc, for me, and those are something that I used when I was in the classroom all the time, it let me build out my units and lessons in advance because I'm housing everything in one spot. And then I'm turning it over to my kids and giving them a chance to actually have choice and voice. We still use the components of a good lesson design. So we shared those on the previous slide. We're encouraging independence for our students. You're going to be providing this content in an engaging package, and you're going to see that here in just a couple of minutes when we start looking at some of these examples. There are tons of design templates that are available for you. So we'll show you how to actually start this process from scratch. However, all it takes is a quick Google search, and you're going to be able to find templates and things that you can use as you see fit. The great thing about Hyperdoc community is that they really and truly believe that we all work way too hard. And so every Hyperdoc that you're going to find online is going to be available for you to use. The only thing they ask is that you do file, make a copy. So you will find the docs, you will find the slides, file, make a copy, and then you can customize it however you wish. It does free you up a little bit. And so since we can't be face-to-face with our kids, it does allow us to provide them sound instruction and still work within this new normal right now of being remote. We also get to incorporate a lot of different digital media, and students are able to work it out at their own pace. And that's kind of critical right now when we have kids at home that are working, and they're more than likely they're working in sort of hit or miss fashion. Using a Hyperdoc allows them to do that. They can hop on, they can start working, they can leave it, they can come back. Again, it also allows you to differentiate and provides an opportunity for us to flip our instruction. So those are some of the reasons why we might want to do this. Let's actually take a look at what some examples look like. Now, some of these are examples that I have found either online, and then I do have 3 examples I'll share that are actually from Wake County teachers that are using them right now. So the first one I'll pull up here is the Outsiders. I think this is a great example because it's just visually, it's very appealing to kids. So this is done in Google Slides. The teachers actually created a slide for other teachers, and it gives you some notes and tips and tricks. And he even mentions in there, you know, feel free to modify this as you see fit. If you use his template, just make sure you give him credit. The big ideas, so what content are they going to hit? And some essential questions. Because it's in Google Slides, they're able to link. So when the kids click on the picture of the van, it actually takes them out. And they've got some background information for the kids. A lot of the content in this particular Hyperdoc, he builds on just the 1960s and what that time period was like in the United States. And so a lot of the content you see on this screen is stuff like that, videos about the 1960s, articles, etc. And the kids would just continue to work through. Here they have them click the camera. And so for this particular assignment, he wants the kids to create a slide deck, and then he gives them the requirements for the slide deck. And what they're doing is comparing the 1960s, pop culture in the 60s, to the book The Outsiders. And so some of the items on the right are very specific to the story, and on the left, they're very specific to the 1960s in general. And his content just builds throughout. These links all go out, jump to specific slides within the presentation. So if I'm on chapter 4, and here are the activities that I need to complete for chapter 4. This is sort of the typical Hyperdoc template. And you'll find this online, and actually in the resource section, I've linked it as well. But this is all on cell phone plan. And so what the kids are doing is comparing the cell phone plan that their family or that they currently have with the other major carriers in the United States. And so notice they give them directions. And then on the right, they're asking them to actually go back and link in their evidence or their artifact. Down here at the bottom, whoops. Sorry about that. This Empires Around the World, I thought it was interesting. It's not a very lengthy hyperdoc at all. But by sharing it with their class, what this teacher's able to do is student A, you're going to explore the Taj Mahal. So we've got a video, we've got an article, and they've even got a street view of the Taj Mahal. And the kids are going to make their notes here. Student B is exploring Versailles. And then together, the kids would be collaborating on this slide together. So student A would be entering their information. Student B would be entering their information. And in the middle, they're going to do the similarities. And then they've got a guiding question here. And as a partnership, then they would come up with an answer. So that's one way we can get kids to collaborate with each other, even though they might not be sitting in the same room at the same time. Pumpkin investigation. So a couple of the examples, you know, are definitely middle and high age kids, but you can actually use Hyperdocs with kids as young as K1. And this is the activity for that. So they've got a audio of Splat the cat. There's a little article and a video for the kids. Then they're asking them, after you've done the article, after you've watched the video, what are 3 things you discovered? What are 2 interesting facts or details? And what's a question that you still have? For this show what you know, the kids are going to double click on the image. It actually opens it up into a Google drawing, and the kids would just click and drag and move the pictures where they go. And then the same with the words, they would actually move the label where it goes as well. And then they can save and close that and share it with the teacher. And then they do give them some creation time. So now that you've done all the instructional pieces, insert a Google drawing of your very own jack-o'-lantern, write a story, and then provides at the end, okay, if you've finished, here are a couple of other things that you could do. Anytime you add those extra when you're finished, extend, those kinds of things, those are all optional for the kids. You try and get all your content done ahead of time, and then at least provide an opportunity so that if you do have those kids that get finished pretty quick, they have something to work on. Mrs. Wilborski's class. Again, this is a Google slide presentation, but because we're now on remote learning, she shares this file with her kids. And so Monday, this is what Monday looks like. And so the kids have specials. This links out to the arts team at Hunter. And they've provided activities for the kids to do. Some of them have included just generic activities, but you can see like here for chorus, she's actually got it split up by grade levels as well, and she's going to meet with her 4th and 5th grade chorus on Mondays. And so the kids can kind of plan their week that way. They've got a read to someone, read to self option. She's got her contact info. Mondays and Wednesdays, they focus on ELA and science. On Mondays and Thursdays, they do a morning meeting, and their morning meeting is just a Google form, and it's got pictures. I think that this form has already expired, but when the kids pull it up, it's the same each Monday and each Thursday. It's a Google form, and they've got emojis, and the kids are just responding how they feel. So on Monday, it's what are you feeling today? On Thursdays, it's how was your week? And then they can use that. And if they need to, then on Friday, they can reach out to families maybe who have questions or concerns. And then they've also provided enrichment. And so that is with the AIG teacher who has come up with some activities. And then I really liked how they also include a Go Noodle, because they use that in their classroom anyway. And so they, the 4th grade team there has provided 3 links. And so those are just 3 different Go Noodles. And I think each week, then they alternate them out. Tuesday looks the same, except Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're doing math and social studies. And then what I like is that they actually do provide content for Friday. So that's something as a team that they decided that they wanted to do. Notice it's not core instruction, but what they do have, Media Center, she's provided a virtual media center. And so when the kids pull up the link, they scroll down and she's got all kinds of activities for the kids to work on. She does have it split up by grade level. And so the kids would click the link. She's also provided examples so that if the kids don't understand what an acrostic poem is, she can actually, the child can actually click the link, and then she's got an example for them to look at. The other thing that they've done on Fridays is to pull in their intervention teachers. And so the intervention teachers have created a site, and what they do is update it by the week. So if I'm in K2, this is week 6. In week 5, here's what we did. You can go back and look at it. This week, here's what we're working on, and they give them directions. And then they've also just pulled in kind of a Friday fun activity. In this case, it's Carmen Sandiego. And so it links out to an activity that the kids could work on. So they're still providing that content on a Friday, even though technically they don't have to, but they felt like it was important. This is another Wake County teacher, Laura Richardson. She's at Pine Hollow Middle, I believe, 8th grade ELA. Hers is very similar. She's got it broken down weeks 1 and 2, so this is like a unit. And the kids have a video that they can watch. She's got a couple of audio files. They can read the selection. Videos for the kids. She's also included her own videos. So these all explain what she wants them to do. Use the Google form to complete this. So this would be like a check what you know type thing. And then again, she does this about every 2 weeks, rolls out a new unit or however long the unit's going to be. The other one, if I can get to it, whoops, is, give me just a second. Let me see if I can, it doesn't like, there we go. Our other Wake County teacher that volunteered her content is Tony Siegel. Tony teaches at Holly Grove Middle. She does hers by the week, and the kids, she gives them directions. So the kids are told, hey, you can work on this. She actually says you can split it up if you want. You can do these things the first day and these things the second day. She teaches just ELA. The yellow things, she's highlighted what's showing mastery. So they are expecting, you know, the kids to complete this. And I think it's, when I talk to her, it's more used as an alert so that families know, hey, this is something that these kids need to know in our, I think she's 7th grade, in our 7th grade class. So the parents are just kind of aware of what's happening. Hers is a mix of video, articles. She pulls in a quiz game that the kids can do. She does do a weekly check-in, which again is a Google form where they enter their name, tell what class they're in, how long are you working, do you need help? And then what they do, the kids can say, hey, I do need some extra help. And so then they're able to reach out during their office hours to these kids. And then it actually asks them, do you want to join a small group on Google Meet? So they're giving the kids the option. If the kids aren't comfortable, they don't have to, but this allows them to reach out to the kids that are comfortable. And then, of course, at the end, she has them turn in through Google Classroom. So I thought that those were just great, great examples, because those are things that are happening currently in Wake County. So you can see, you know, certainly if you look at something like The Outsiders, I mean, that took a while to put together, no doubt about it. But just a kind of variation on the whole concept of Hyperdoc is the fact, you know, at the 3 examples from Wake County, they're just organizing their day into a slide or a quick document, sharing it out with their kids, and then their kids have it. The great thing is with that, you know, they can prepare it, they can share it, and then as far as planning for that week, their plan is done. The content is done, and they can just focus on the work that the students are turning in. So let's pause there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to throw those into the chat. Okay, so how do I create? So you really have 2 options. The first, if I go into a Google Doc, so this would be the example, like the last one I shared with you. It would be the pumpkin investigation. Those were all done in a Google Doc. Really, all you're doing is inserting a table. You can give it a title. You can provide directions. And then you can do the task and the resource. And you just tab to add as many sections as you want, okay? So that's the basic to just get your content in. So if I wanted them to watch the video on frogs, I could go do a search on frogs. Now, in YouTube, don't forget, we do have to approve it for Wake County use. And then I can just copy and paste, and there's the link to my video. I can do the same thing with a Google Doc. So I can give them directions, and then here I could provide the link to a Google Doc where they could go in and add their thoughts or their facts. So some of the other things, obviously I can go in and I can change my font to make it something a little more interesting. I can file, go to page setup, and I can change the color of the page so that it's not just a white sheet of paper. And then I would just continue to build my content out. So you could do the task and the resource. You could also change it so that this is subject and activity. And I can just push my directions over here. Oops. Oh, come on, man. I could change this to math. and then add the math activity for my kids. I think I just saw a question about if I send them a Google Doc, how do you make sure the doc is for each student? So when I go up to share and go to advanced, I can change it. So for this, it's set up so that anyone who has the link can get access. And then here, oops, anybody who has the link can view it. And so that's what I would do with my kids. And then the kids would have to do file, make a copy. Or if I'm pushing it out through Google Classroom has that option as well, where the kids have to make their own copy. But I always change the share settings just directly in my document, give them the link, and then everybody, the kids can only view it. They can't do anything else. They have to make their own copy.
Do they make a copy of the entire Hyperdoc?
It depends. Sometimes, yes, I do have them just make their own copy and then they can work from it. If I've got activities set up that I want them to collaborate, like that visit Versailles and visit Taj Mahal, I probably wouldn't have them make a copy of the entire Hyperdoc because I want those kids to work together. So it really just depends on what the output is going to be from the kids.
Also, Tanika just asked, in Google Classroom, the create a copy for each student won't work. Maybe Tanika, if you could unmute your mic and explain a little more.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes, when you wanted to insert the document there so that they can record their answers, and you wanted each student. I'm just afraid that my students would have a little problem with, making a copy of the document. So I know they have a feature in Google Classroom where if you share the whole thing with the class, when you share it out and you make a copy for each student, that won't work. But then you also just clarified and said if you want them to collaborate, and if each one of them have their own copy, they won't be able to collaborate. Is that what I'm getting?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, because if they each make their own copy, then I'm typing in mine and you're typing in yours. But if you and I are sharing the copy, we can type at the same time and see what each other's doing.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. We saw several Google Slides. It's the same thing. Mrs. Wilborski, and I saw a couple of comments about how that was organized and everybody liked. She just had a slide for each day. So she could add her title here, and that was week of, and then whatever week it is. And then she just adds a blank slide for Monday. I would recommend, if you're going to do something like that, I would recommend you just go ahead and build out Monday the way you want it to look, and then copy that slide for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you're just updating the content, but you're not recreating the wheel. And so you would just add a text box. And then again, I can go in, I can customize my font. I can add another box. And then this is where I'm going to put ELA. Again, update my font. And then just click and you can add your content that way. Now, the cool thing with Google Slides is that you can actually embed the video. So in the doc, it was the link. I had to go copy the link and paste it in. In Google Slides, though, I can actually search. Oops, that's the Safe YouTube. I can come up and get my link here. And then I can resize this and move it around wherever I want it. The other thing, so you would have noticed, hopefully on Mrs. Wilborski's example again, so on the title, she had a image that served as her background. So the first thing, if I'm on my Monday slide, I can go to File, and I can scroll down, and I can go to Page Setup. Oops, nope. I can go to Slide. I can go to Change Background, and I can pick a color. And so now Monday's got this blue. But if you remember on her title slide, she had a image of a calendar. It was an April calendar. So a couple of things. One, I can go choose an image for my background. I could do a search, select and insert. And so there's the image. So that was slide, change the background. The one thing I don't like about that is that I don't really have any options when it comes to formatting the image. It's literally taking the image and putting it on the background. So what I could do instead is if I go to insert image and I search, same picture of a frog. I can stretch this out. Whoops. So that it covers up my whole slide. But then I can go to Format and Adjust. And if I slide this little guy over, it actually makes the image or makes the text and image work better together. So now I don't have that intense picture of the frog, but it's in the background. So it's all kind of what you want to do. If I'm just going to do something like this with the color, I just go to Slide, Background, change the color. If I'm doing a theme, we're studying frogs, we're doing something like that, then I try to just insert the image, and then I can manipulate it and make it transparent, etc. So those are kind of the basics as far as, hey, I want to create my own. However, you could also click this little folder, and you all have access to this. This is a teacher named Carly Morris. She's not a Wake County teacher, but she has got a ton of pre-made Hyperdocs. And again, the cool thing is in this community, all they ask is for credit, but you can do whatever you want to it. So I could like this particular template and just not like the content. So I just do File, make a copy, and then I can update it however I want. But she's got this. She's also got a folder up at the top where she's got some just blank templates. So these don't have any of the content, but what they do have are just some ideas. So if I'm in this teach and learn section, maybe I want to pull something off of PBS Learning Media or National Geographic Kids. Engagement. And so she says, hey, for this, you could do collaborative Google Slides or a Google Doc. You could, she's got some examples. You could do a Padlet. She gives you a couple of ideas on independent, show what you know, and then ways to extend. Again, that folder link here in the presentation will pop out to her Google file folder, and you can just make a copy and it'll show up in your drive. Or you can also click this little globe. This actually comes from the three ladies who created the whole Hyperdoc concept. And they've got sample templates that you can make a copy of and use. So if I click on this one, so they've got it all ready to go. You can see it tells me right here I have to request edit access, so I don't really need to do that. I can just do file, make a copy, and then the copy that it creates is mine. I could change the title, I can change the directions. They have it split up this way. I can use this little white box here. I could go out and find an image that maybe has to do with that. You can see they've done an image here. The only thing that I would do is I would never remove this footer. I just keep that in there. That just lets people know that the Hyperdoc, it came from the Hyperdoc website. They also have some other resources up here too that you can play around with. Any questions on building or templates or anything like that?
Kurt, there's a question. Where do you give the creator credit if you use a template?
Very good question. So it depends kind of on how that person has created the template that I'm borrowing. Sometimes they'll put just on the front their name or their Twitter handle or their website. And so I may move that into the footer. Sometimes they create like an in slide and they have their information on there, and I just leave that as the last slide in my Hyperdoc. Typically, always they're going to have their name somewhere, and so I just figure out what's going to make sense for me, and do it that way. But a lot of times it'll be in the header or the footer. So where can I find Hyperdoc resources? This slide right here, if you click it, it's going to take you out to a website. If I go to create, we've created, this is a Hyperdoc template that you can use. It kind of explains, it gives examples, something you could use. This is a really cool resource. When you click on it, they've got links. So if I'm in Google Docs and I don't know how to add video, or I don't know how to insert a table, they've provided little screencasts to show you. So as you're getting started, this is just a really wonderful resource for you to use. Couple of the other templates that we've used. This is another one. She lists a bunch of tools that are available. Every time I share this, I kind of go back and have to make sure it's in the resource product library, just so that it's allowed. I think it's pretty up to date. So that's something for you. 5 steps to creating. This just talks about the lesson planning that's involved. This was a really cool on just Google Docs, and they sort of have it set up as a Hyperdoc. So if you have questions on Google Doc Basics, that's a great place to go. And idea snaps, that was something I found too in a Hyperdoc. And it's just a way for you to incorporate literature into a Hyperdoc, and it has the kids do like a screen from the book, a screen capture from the book, and then respond, but the steps are there for doing that. We've got examples. Some of them are some of the examples that were included in the presentation, but I've also included some others. This is a really good one on the book Wonder. This was a really cool Olympics, 2018. I found it online. I actually did it with my students. There's a couple, and I just added a couple, but if you search this person, I can't see her name, it's Megan something, but Hyperdocs by her, if you do a Google search, she's got a ton of these on different authors that are really cool. Wild Robot, I had a couple of teachers at Hunter, we found this online, and they use that with their kids. And then the last link is just some presentations that I've done on Hyperdocs, and I think I skipped home. This is a really good video. It is about 40 minutes long. It actually might be closer to an hour, but it's from the 3 women who created Hyperdocs, and they talk a little bit about the process, and they talk a little bit about why and how they do it. It's really good. And then this is just a link back to their website as well. Yes, they're on Twitter. You can follow them out there. There is just a Twitter. If you search for Hyperdocs on Twitter, there's a whole conversation, a channel that happens that is amazing. People are constantly throwing examples out there of stuff that they've created. And so you can definitely use that as a resource. I will make sure and add that to this website as well, so that you have that, or at least what the hashtag is. But it's a group I follow, and I'm constantly getting ideas from them on things that they've tried and done. I guess for me, the thing is, I just love that it's so customizable to what you want to do. You know, there is this whole pedagogy behind it on but you can really make it work so that it works for you and it works for your students. And to me, that's what's important. That, and the fact that everybody who sort of subscribes to this idea of teaching this way want to share it with you. So it's free. You just make a copy and give them credit. And I just saw a question. Jen, was that you?
So Laura had a great question about saving your presentation. If you wouldn't mind, when you get to a certain point, could you just show how to save it since it's published? As a bookmark, save it as a bookmark.
What do you mean?
I'm super sorry. Your presentation has all these amazing links in it, but she was having
Yeah.
trouble usually. Could you just show her how to save the presentation as a bookmark?
Sure.
Thanks.
So if you go to bit.ly, oops, yeah. So here's the presentation. If you just click this little star right here, and then you can put it wherever. I'm going to put it on the bookmarks bar and click done. And then depending on how many bookmarks you have, it's either going to show up along here or it's going to show up in this list. And you can see that the last one I added was the Lunch and Learn. Does that answer your question? Awesome.
Kurt,
Yeah.
just to clarify, when you were the link you were showing a minute ago, you are going to add to that website, right? The Hyperdoc website?
Yeah.
Okay.
I throw stuff out there all the time and I move it around or whatever, but yes. So it'll get you going, but everything that I find that I like, I just continue to throw out there. So just keep checking it. You have the link through the presentation.
Right. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any.
Nancy says that she's logged into her WCPSS account and she's needing permission to access the Create Hyperdocs and Examples.
On the website?
I'm not sure exactly. Nancy, do you want to unmute?
Kurt, I'm on the website and I'm seeing that as well.
Okay. On here? On the Create one?
Yes, and I believe under the examples.
Okay. I will take a look when we hang up and I'll get it fixed, Nancy. I'll send you an email, Nancy, when it's ready. Awesome. All right, the last thing, we do have a feedback survey. So if you would, please fill that out so that we can take a look and see what kind of changes we need to make as we move forward. But know that your digital learning coordinators, we are going to continue to offer office hour, lunch and learn type things while we are learning remote. All right, thanks you guys for joining. If you would just please make sure you fill out that feedback form, that'd be great. And I'll stay on a couple minutes if you have another question or not.